I offer my most loving and humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of my dear Mother Sai, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, embodiments of the divine Atma, embodiments of divine love. Om Shri Sai Ram. Auzu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyaka na'budu wa iyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladina an'amta alaihim ghairil maghdubi alaihim waladdallin. I begin in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. Thee alone do we serve and Thee alone do we worship. Guide us on the straight and narrow path, not on the path of those who have earned Thine anger or those who have gone astray. Amen. Brothers and sisters, it is an extreme honor and privilege to share and to receive the love of our most beloved Mother Sai. Not a blade of grass moves, and Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba has not willed it so. This very gathering is only a beautiful example of His divine grace and love. At the tender age of 16, I started this quest to find myself. A time when most people my age would be involved in music and clothes and fashion. My journey took me into reading several books on the power of positive thinking, trying to understand my purpose in life. Why have I taken birth? What is my purpose on the face of the earth? And what is my divine relationship with my Creator? I was born in an Islamic home and grew up understanding Islamic principles. In Islam, we were taught that God is formless. And so in the mosque, you will not find pictures of murtis. This omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent Allah was who I was praying to develop this intimate divine relationship. Not having found successful answers in those books, I started delving into the saints and sages of many different religions. And so I studied the life and teachings of Ramakrishna Paramahansa, Paramahansa Yogananda, Ramana Maharishi, and then the great Sufi masters, Jalaluddin Rumi and Imam Ghazali. And there I found solace and comfort. There I began to experience a fraction of what I was searching for. This joy that can only come when you worship, when you love, when you build a relationship with the divine within. This journey from 1977 to 79, I dived deep into those beautiful divine masters. But still there was a missing link. I was still searching for someone with whom I can connect with to find my true self. I used to inhabit the mosque in my village in Trinidad and Tobago. There in 1979, I came across a Muslim brother, 15 years my senior, who also was searching for the divine. We had like-minded goals, and so we became very, very good friends. He was like my spiritual big brother. And often for many days, weeks, we would have discussions about God, about spirituality, about connecting to the divinity within. And this went on for some time, until one day, during the course of our conversation, he brings a book. When I look on the book, on the cover, I see this bushy-head, Afro-looking guy. And I said, who is this? And emphatically he told me, this is God in human form. And immediately I blurted out, you must be mad. How can you call him God? He is a mere human being. Because of the background of Islam, it was difficult to reconcile the formless with the form. And then he said, Faiz, read this book with an open mind. And so I took the book home, and the very first page, as I began to read its contents, I was magically and divinely attracted to it. And in one sitting, I read out the entire contents. What was most amazing was that the discussions we had about God and universality and the purpose of life, I found in this book, Satyam Shivam Sundaram. But amidst the divine attraction arose a tremendous conflict. Satya Sai Baba was saying, I am God. And that contradicted all that I had believed and grown up to understand. We were taught that God is formless. And so this battle, this confusion, this inner conflict occupied and took over my mind for weeks, for days, for months. Sometimes I will not be able to sleep trying to reconcile this conflict. And after many, many months of worry and trouble and confusion in my mind, I went back to the mosque. And one day in the mosque, I prayed to Almighty Allah to show me the truth as to who Satya Sai Baba really is. And this was revealed to me the following days ahead. In the Holy Quran, Allah says that Allah is closer to you than your jugular vein. So He's within. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace, once said, he who knows himself knows God. There's a verse entitled The Declaration of Faith. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. The orthodox translation of this verse is that there is no God but Allah, and the Holy Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace, is his messenger. That's the orthodox translation. But the mystical men of Islam interprets the same verse as not that there is no God but Allah, but that there is nothing but Allah. And so gradually, slowly, the doubts were being removed. And then one day, this thought was planted in my mind. If Allah, who is omniscient, omnipotent, and omnipresent, if He has the power to do anything, can He not assume a human form? I started attending bhajan sessions in the village where I lived. And I was instantly drawn to the joy that comes from chanting the name of God. I would lose away in the singing, feeling the love of God in my heart. And from 1979 to 1981, I also sought out Muslim devotees in Trinidad, though they were few in number, trying to reconcile the formless with the form. The conflict amidst the divine attraction of the teachings of Satya Sai Baba still remained. And in 1981, I received the knowledge, the information that Sri Satya Sai Baba invited all the overseas Bal Vikas gurus to the first overseas Bal Vikas Guru training program in Prashanti Nilayam. And so I submitted my name. And on the morning of Guru Purnima 1981, we arrived, a big group from Trinidad. As soon as the taxi arrived in front of the accommodation office, we were ushered quickly, taking off our shoes, and we sat at the back of the Purnachandra Hall, waiting anxiously for this form of Satya Sai. I didn't know what to expect, for I had not fully, completely believed in him. I saw him as a divine master. What was he going to look like? And after a few moments, I see the curtains in the Purnachandra Hall part, and this little 5-foot form dressed in an orange gown float across the stage. And instantly, I felt connected to this divine phenomena. Over the next 30 days, with every darshan, with every materialization of vibhuti, with every taking of letter, with every divine discourse, he was dispelling all my doubts. And then I heard that this wonderful avatar had built a mosque in Puttaparthi. And so I was eager to find out and to understand how it came. I had the divine privilege, it's just afterwards Swami took birth, and I did my namaz and prayers there. And I explored as to how this mosque came to be built. In 1978, the Muslims in Prashanti Nilayam, in the village of Puttaparthi, had to trek 4 miles to the village of Bukkapatnam. Sometimes during the holy month of Ramadan, the month of fasting, this could be as much as 5 times daily in the sweltering heat, in the blistering sun. Out of divine love and compassion for the Muslim community, Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba constructed a beautiful mosque, wonderfully crafted with Islamic design. And on Eid ul-Fitr day, the day that marks the end of the holy month of fasting, Bhagwan opened the mosque. All the Muslim brothers in the village and nearby villages came on this very great and auspicious day. With a gentle wave of his hand, Satya Sai Baba materialized pendants with Arabic inscriptions and gave it to the mosque board members. And then the avatar, the self-same Sai Allah, gave a divine discourse on fasting. Bhagwan said that the Holy Quran was revealed to the Holy Prophet Muhammad directly from God, as the Vedas were revealed directly from God to man. And that no religion exhorts violence, all propagate love for God and service to humanity. Bhagwan went on to talk about fasting. And he said, fasting is not merely the abstinence of food and drink from dawn to dusk. The more important fundamental purpose is to fast away from all that is negative and evil. Upavasa means to become near and dear to Almighty Allah. And so the fast is to purify the negative impulses and bring us closer to Almighty Allah. It was a most beautiful message. And the convener of the mosque thereafter commented on the teachings of Satya Sai Baba. And he said that enshrined in the teachings of Satya Sai Baba are the teachings of the Holy Quran and the practice of the Holy Prophet Muhammad. Brothers and sisters, the holy call of the Muslims, which is done 5 times daily, the call to prayer, you can now hear it reverberating through Prashanti Nilayam, testifying to the oneness, the unity of faiths, the underlying principle that God is one. Today in Prashanti Nilayam, through Bhagwan's grace, every year Eid-ul Fitr is celebrated in Prashanti Nilayam. I was very fortunate to meet a group of Iranian Muslims dressed in their hijab. They had come to Sri Satya Sai Baba, and Bhagwan had granted them a number of interviews over a period of time. And so I met the group leader. An experience was shared. During and around the time of the Holy Prophet Muhammad's birthday, a group of Muslims visited Bhagwan. At that time, Swami was in Whitefield, and Baba granted them an interview on the Holy Prophet Muhammad's birthday, upon whom be peace. And during the course of the interview, Swami placed his hand like this, and there appeared in the middle of his palm a live and moving picture of the Holy Kaaba with millions of pilgrims going around. Bhagwan then told him, I have called you here today because I and the Holy Prophet Muhammad are one. My dear brothers and sisters, there have been many Islamic prophecies from the scriptures and from great and noble divine masters, but none is as prophetic and detailed as the Islamic prophecy. In a book that contains this prophecy called the Ocean of Light, Irani Ma, a renowned Muslim devotee of Bhagwan, was one day walking in a bazaar in Iran, and her attention was drawn to this particular book. And as she opened the pages of the Ocean of Light, there was a prophecy containing 300 signs of the coming of a great master that would walk the face of the earth. Every single one of those prophecies matches Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. It speaks about this avatar will wear a gown that is red in color, that this divine master's feet will be like a little child, that he will have a mole on the left side of his cheek, that he will give gifts that are light in weight, his hair will be profuse. But what was the most amazing in this prophecy, given some 1400 years ago, the prophet said that the space of this divine master, the space of the teeth of the divine master will have spaces. And so when you look at Swami's smile, you will see little spaces between his teeth. It was most amazing, this prophecy. He will gather devotees under a huge tree, and we all aware of that tree in Whitefield. And so devotees, after that first trip in Prashanti Nilayam, my doubts had been removed. I now saw Satya Sai Baba as a great humanitarian, as a divine master. When I came back to Trinidad and Tobago in 1981, there were many challenges that were to follow. When you begin to believe in God, when you begin to practice His teachings, as all the divine masters have proven, there are going to be insurmountable obstacles in your life. Jesus the Christ was crucified. The Holy Prophet Muhammad was stoned for 3 miles with blood flowing from his entire body because he propagated the oneness of Almighty Allah. Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated because of his belief in non-violence. When you descend on the spiritual path, know that in order for the cleansing to take place, we have to be pounded and twisted and smelt and burnt in order for that beautiful bright jewel of a devotee to manifest. As Bhagwan says, when you come to me, I hook you with interviews and beautiful darshan. And then Swami says, when I get your obedience, then I begin to cook you. That is Bhagwan's divine mission to make us and transform us into souls worthy of emulation. I was then the vice president of the youth group in the mosque that I attended. I used to call the Holy Azan, or the Holy Call to pray, and I used to lead the namaz. In the holy month of Ramadan, there's a night called Laylatul Qadr night. It is similar to Mahashivratri, where we wake the entire night singing the glories of Almighty Allah, reading the glories of Almighty Allah, and doing zikr, or what we call jap. In order to pass the time, I took a book of Satya Sai Baba with me in the mosque. One of the mosque board members saw the book. And knowing that I had gone to see Satya Sai Baba in India, and immediately an urgent emergency meeting was summoned. The discussion was Brother Faiz. He was now associating partners with Almighty Allah. He had gone now and is believing in a man as God. And as such, we can no longer have him hold positions in the mosque. And so immediately, they stripped me from my vice president. I was banned from leading the namaz and the holy call to prayer. The very same people who looked upon me as their son now did not even utter the Islamic greeting of Assalamu alaikum. I was excommunicated from the mosque. One person came up and told me, he said, "You are no longer a Muslim, you have converted into some different religion." One brother came to me and he said, "Faiz, forget this Sai Baba and come and pray to the true Allah." And I said, "No." I said, "I prayed to Almighty Allah to show me the truth of who Satya Sai Baba really is. And to that truth, I bear witness and stand allegiance regardless of the consequences." Brothers and sisters, in practicing the teachings of Satya Sai Baba, I have become a better Muslim. In understanding his philosophy and simple teachings, I have grown to practice Islam with greater tenacity and faith. As Bhagavan says, if you're a Muslim, be a good Muslim. If you're a Christian, be a good Christian. If you're a Hindu, be a good Hindu. There are a number of incidents that Swami orchestrated in the years to come to soften the hearts of my Muslim brothers and sisters and for them to see the true path. Time does not permit us. I share with you a little of my personal experiences with this magnificent, loving avatar, whom I have now come to know as the self-same Sai Allah. Every day in Trinidad on the 19th of June, there's a public holiday called Labor Day. On the 18th of June, a satsang was carded, 19th of June, and bhajans were held at a particular devotee's home. We sang bhajans throughout the night until the wee hours of the morning, and I was transporting devotees back home. And on that journey, Labor Day 1983, the car in which I was driving crashed into another one, coming at a tremendously fast speed. So great was the impact that the front of the vehicle that I drove came almost close to the windscreen. The windscreen shattered and splinters were all over my face and blood was flowing profusely. The steering had hit me in my chest and I started to cough up blood and lost consciousness. Many people, when they saw the wreckage, said, no one could survive such an accident. When I awoke, I was in the hospital, unable to even recognize my face. I had lost consciousness for a few hours, and devotees were there pouring tulsi water in my mouth, saying that Brother Faiz is not going to live. The most amazing thing in this accident was that I felt absolutely no pain. And after 3 days, I was discharged from the hospital. The only mantra that I had learned coming into the teachings of Satya Sai Baba was the Gayatri mantra. And I had heard Satya Sai Baba say, you can forget any other mantra, but never forget the Gayatri. It is the essence of the Vedas. And that was the mantra I chanted throughout the accident period. In 1983, a group of 45 Trinidadians journeyed to Prashanti Nilayam. This accident happened in June. We were there in the month of October for the Dasara celebration. And it is on that trip that I get my first interview with Mother Sai. As Swami ushered everyone into the interview room, put on the lights and the fan, I rushed quickly and sat very close to his feet. And as Swami sat on the chair, he looked so lovingly into my eyes and he said, it was I who saved you from that accident. Thousands of miles away, many, many months, yet the first thing that Mother Sai will tell me with so much love and compassion, he says, it was I who saved you from that accident. And then Bhagwan looked at me and he said, you drive too fast. He's doing his hand like this and he said, start early, drive slowly, reach safely. What do we do today? We start late. We drive at breakneck speed and we reach dead on time. Then with a gentle wave of his hand, I was sitting 2 feet from him. And I actually saw a pendant materialize out of the middle of his palm, solidifying right in front of me. And Swami is a good cricketer. He catches it. And he's looking at me and I bend my head thinking it's the person at the back. He says, no, 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 you. And Swami drops his pendant in my hand. He then takes a small group of devotees into the inner interview room. And devotees begin to ask, Brother Faiz, please show us. As I begin to do this, Swami, in less than 1 minute, he comes back out of the inner interview room and he does like this. No exhibition. And so I've worn this inside for the last over 30 years. There was an elderly gentleman in that particular interview who was like a father figure to me at home. He always looked after my welfare. And he got up and he said, Swami, don't you think we should get Brother Faiz married? I am 23. I've just found my divine master. I was so preoccupied now with self-realization, understanding my purpose, eager to practice his teachings. Marriage was the furthest thing from my mind. What is he asking? So I jump up in the interview room. You see, sometimes I feel I'm like a wicked little child. One devotee had told me in Trinidad, when you go to Prashanti Nilayam, you've spent so much money, you've braved so many discomforts. Utilize every moment with the avatar. And so I jump up and I said, Swami, the only way I will get married is if you choose the girl. Bhagwan said, and these are his exact words, Nahi, nahi, nahi. Let parents decide and I will bless. Exact words. Let parents decide and I will bless. It took 8 years from 1983 to 1991 before my parents agreed on one girl. But I had to make sure that this is Swami's will and not Faiz's will, because marriage is serious business. So I take a picture of the girl in 1991. I write a letter to Swami and I go to India. Bhagwan was at Whitefield. I spent 2 weeks there and every single darshan, Swami would never look at me. until the last darshan. I requested permission from the Sevadal to sit in front. And I had this letter in my hand. And I said, Swami, today I'm going to challenge you. If you take this letter from me today, Bhagwan, I know that you would have approved of the contents. And if you don't, I am on my royal and ancient highway to self-realization. So I sit in the front and Bhagwan begins to walk, Whitefield is like a circle under the tree. Within 15 feet from where I was sitting, he stops, turns around, and he begins to walk back to the mandir. And then I start to smile. I begin to put the letter away, and then Swami stops. He turns around. He looks directly where I was sitting. In an instant, he was in front of me. And Bhagwan does like this. And he plucks the letter from my hand. I fall at his feet and begin to cry. And he put his hand on my head. That was October 1991. I go back to Trinidad and I get married in 1 month. November the 24th, 1991. Now, all of the money was spent in marriage. Marriage costs a lot of money now. But I remember Bhagwan saying, let parents decide and I will bless. That was 8 years ago in 1983. And so I prayed, Bhagwan, please create a way that I could come back to you. Devotees, in the early days when I had come into contact with Swami in 1981, I prayed to him. I said, Swami, with your grace, I will come every single year. And sometimes I never had enough money. My first job, I started as an office boy, delivering mail, getting 55 Trinidad dollars per month. That's 8 Canadian dollars. Way back in 1979. And when I did not have enough money, one year I sold my car. Got enough funds and went to Puttaparthi. When I came back, Swami will give me a little bigger, better car, and then I will sell it the next year to go to him again. Such was my desire and passion to see this avatar every single year. Now, all the money was spent and I prayed to Swami, knowing that he will open a way. The last 3 months, the airline we used to travel from Trinidad to India was Air India, out of New York. And they had a promotion where the last 3 months, they put all the passengers in the Caribbean's name who had traveled, and whichever name came out first will win a trip to India for 2. So, it was amazing that the travel agent called and he told me about the promotion. And he said, Brother Faiz, you don't worry, I'll put your name in the listing. After 2 to 3 weeks, I get a call from the Air India representative in New York. Are you Mr. Faiz Mohammed? Yes, ma'am. Sir, you've just won a free trip to India for 2. And I said, Bhagwan, thank you for grace. December 1991, my wife and I traveled to Puttaparthi. Normally, the rooms are not furnished. The room that was allocated to us was like a wedding suite. It had beautiful pictures of Swami. Fresh flowers was on a table with a tablecloth. And I said, Bhagwan, thank you for grace. On the 16th of December 1991, Swami grants what I call the wedding interview. You see, marriage was very, very challenging for me, especially in the first 2 years. Bhagwan says first there must be understanding and then there must be adjustment. But that was the adjusting period. So almost every day my wife and I would quarrel. It's hard to believe, eh? Even in Prashanti. So Swami took us into the inner interview room, and the very first thing that the Lord does, you may forget, we may forget, God never forgets His promises. Swami took the wedding rings, placed it, and he said, I bless, I bless, I bless. 1983, 8 years ago, the avatar remembered. Then he looks at me and he said, you, temper. Then he looks at my wife and he said, you, hot. Not a quarreling. Then Bhagwan takes these two fingers, puts them together, and he says, up, down, but always together. Then he begins to talk about marriage. He said, marriage is 23 hours and 55 minutes of pain and 5 minutes of pleasure. He said, first 2 years, wife nice. Next 2 years, wife is knife. Oh, Bhagwan, I said, Lord, you are telling me this after I've taken the step. Then he says, W-I-F-E. He said, if you get a bad wife, the W stands for worries invited forever. And if you get a good wife, the W stands for wisdom invited forever. And I see some wise husbands in the audience. You will have good wives. Then Bhagwan suddenly looks at me and he said, how many children do you want? So you know we fathers, I jump up and I said, Swami, I want a boy first. He said, boy? Why do you want boy? Girls are better. He said, girls take better care of parents. They have more love and consideration. He says, boy, everybody is asking, whose son is this? Whose son is this? Baba then told me, boy only thinks about mother-in-law and father-in-law. Then I swallow my pride and I said, Swami, let it be your will. He said, Acha, I give one boy, one girl. Thereafter, 2 girls came. So in another interview, I said, Swami, the last time you said you will give one boy, one girl. Now 2 girls have come. Bhagwan in true Trinidadian style does like this. What can I do? Then he looked at me very seriously and he said, I gave very good children. Today they're around 18 and 19 years old. We've just brought one of them to start at McGill here. The other child is at Waterloo doing psychology. They are now Swami's children. Grew up, born in Sai, living in Sai, serving Sai. My dear brothers and sisters, I had one major challenge growing up. It is said, the second most fair thing in the world is public speaking. Do you know what is the first? Getting mugged in your own home. Like if somebody breaks in. The second most fair thing in the world is public speaking. And so this is what I suffered with for many, many years. In 1981, after the first trip, when I came back to Trinidad and was asked to share experiences, I remember the first time I had to talk. I took a Sanatan Sarati and I was literally trembling like this. Beads of perspiration, and I was suffering with bad migraine headaches and my heart rate raced on. And I said, Swami, this is not good. In one interview, I asked Bhagwan, and he said, you must have more confidence in the self. And then a most amazing thing happened. Whenever I would start to read the message, after a while, my eyes would automatically close. And I found this very strange, but I followed the inner guidance. But Swami was to do something to remove every iota of fear from my heart and mind. In one interview, I said, Swami, may I speak with you privately? He said, Acha, go. As I sat with my most loving Lord in the inner interview room, Bhagwan most lovingly, he reaches out and pinches me on my cheek. And he said, you must speak on Sai experience and morality. And then I said, Swami, but I don't use any written material, and sometimes my eyes close. And Bhagwan does like this. He said, you go and speak, and I will be there inside you. And I know now more than ever that it is He who orchestrates. It is He who wills what has to be said. And that we are all divine instruments. If we become like the Murali, free from egoism, we become his instruments through which the divine melody of love can be blown. Brothers and sisters, this pendant that Swami gave had an experience attached to it. I had taken my mother to Prashanti Nilayam. In this group of devotees, there were about 45 to 50, a mixture of Indian, Chinese, African. Bhagwan is so humorous, even when he teaches very powerful lessons. There was this lady in the group who was pretty big. And as Swami was walking on the lady side, she jumps up and said, Swami, Swami, Trinidad interview. And Bhagwan so mischievously looks at her and said, where will you pass? Interview room door? So small. He reaches on the men's side and one gentleman gets up and said, Swami, Swami, when are you leaving? Bhagwan does like this. Ask the ladies, they know everything. On that trip, there was one day allocated for shopping. My dear brothers and sisters, try not to give ladies too much time to shop. My mother wanted to buy the whole of India and put it in a suitcase. So I go with her into an underground shopping area called the Palika Bazaar. Many, many shops. So there was one particular kurta that she liked that I had to try on, and I had with me the pouch, our traveling documents, passport, money, etc. So I rested the pouch on the counter to try on the kurta, and I forgot it. Only after we had gone and visited one or two more shops did I realize that I no longer had it. And instantly, both of us became very, very frantic. My mother started to quarrel. We are so much thousands of miles away. It is your negligence. And she started like this, I ran back to almost all the stores that I had thought I had left it. No one had seen it. If you lose something in India, is 1 billion people. And when my mother incessant quarreling, I decided to take a little walk by myself and sat on a little step, and I held on to the pendant of Swami. And I began to pray, Om Shri Sai Ram, Om Shri Sai Ram, Om Shri Sai Ram, trying to visualize that form of Mother Sai. This went on for a few minutes, and when I opened my eyes, a most amazing thing happened. Out of the hundreds of people milling around shopping, I see this child, no more than 7 years old, dressed in immaculate white. And he walks straight up to me with the pouch in his hand and he said, Sir, did you lose this? And frantically I opened to make sure all the passport and valuables were there. And as I looked up, he disappeared. And I said, Swami, thank you for grace. Beloved devotees, how lucky we are to have born in the time of the avatar, to recognize the avatar, and for him to have selected us to be part of this divine global mission. When I used to attend bhajans in Trinidad, there was one big contradiction I observed. And the contradiction was this. I had read where Swami said, there is only one religion, the religion of love. There is only one caste, the caste of humanity. There is only one language, the language of the heart. There is only one God, and He is omnipresent. Bhagwan also said, whom the Muslims adore as Allah, whom the Christians adore as Jehovah, whom the Saivites adore as Pulabja, He, the one God, is the same God of all mankind. He also says, let the different faiths exist. Let them flourish. Let the glory of God be sung in all the languages in a variety of tunes. Respect the differences between each of the faiths and recognize them as valid as long as they do not extinguish the flame of unity. But the one that really touched me was this. I have not come to disturb or destroy anyone's faith, but to confirm each in his own, so that the Muslim becomes a better Muslim, the Hindu becomes a better Hindu, the Christian becomes a better Christian. But yet when I went to satsangs in my village, I am seeing only a predominance of Hindu murtis on the altar. I'm only hearing bhajans being sung. I didn't hear an Islamic song. I wasn't hearing a Christian hymn. And so I felt a little bit disconnected. And then when I weighed the teachings of Swami on his universality, I said, Swami, this is not right. In Trinidad, we have Muslims, Christians, and Hindus that make up the bulk of the religions. And so a few of us went to our leaders and we said, this does not reflect universality in the center. Something must be done. And through dedicated, persistent, committed effort over a period of months, it reached a stage now where on the altar, there's a picture of Christ. There's a symbol of Islam. And we no longer call it bhajan session, we call it devotional singing, because it incorporates all. Now we sing bhajans, Islamic songs, and Christian hymns. We have Muslim prayers, Christian prayers, and Hindu prayers. So that if a Muslim comes and sits at the back of our satsang, he can feel connected to his own religion. If a Christian comes and there's a beautiful hymn, how great thou art, they can feel connected to Christ. This is the universality that Swami speaks about. And if we are in a public Sai Baba center, we must be able to reflect the universality of his message. In Trinidad today, we celebrate Eid ul-Fitr, Shivaratri, Bhagwan's birthday, Christmas, and all the major religions and festivals in the world. This is the universal message of Bhagavan. I share with you a little bit of the Trinidad experience. But before going there, devotees, there's one misconception in Islam that I'd like to deal with Swami's grace. There are 5 cardinal principles in Islam. One is the declaration of faith, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. The second one, it is incumbent upon every Muslim to pray 5 times a day. Why 5 times a day? The Holy Prophet Muhammad was asked this question. And he said, if you take a bath 5 times a day, the body remains clean. When you dip into prayer 5 times a day, the mind gets purified and the divine remembrance of Allah takes place. The third pillar of Islam is zakat or charity. It is incumbent upon every Muslim to give 2.5% of his net earnings after basic necessities are met to the needy and the poor. The fourth principle of Islam is to engage in the month of fasting during the holy month of Ramadan. And the fifth one, at least once in a Muslim's lifetime, he makes the trek or pilgrimage to Mecca. There is a concept in Islam called jihad, something that is so misunderstood throughout the world and has caused so much of conflict and confusion. Some of our Muslim leaders have chosen to interpret this verse as to kill those that are not of your same belief, which is total madness and the furthest thing away from the truth. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, upon whom be peace, when he speaks about jihad, he speaks not about the physical war outside, but the inner spiritual war that takes place in each and every human heart to win the grace of Almighty Allah. That is the true jihad. It is the internal spiritual struggle to win the glory of Almighty Allah. It is similar to what Swami speaks about the Mahabharata war, where the 5 Pandavas are the 5 values. And the thousands of Kauravas represents those inner negative impulses. That battle goes on every single day in our lives. So do not be misled that Islam is a religion of violence. The Avatar himself, when he opened the mosque, said, no religion exhorts violence. All preach love for God and service to humanity. The Holy Prophet Muhammad was the gentlest of creatures, practicing this non-violence. So that jihad is that inner spiritual war. Trinidad and Tobago, you're just 5.5 hours by plane from Toronto. We are twin island in the Caribbean, housing 1.2 million people, and we have 52 Sai Baba centers. In almost every village of the country, there's a Sai Baba center. Our forefathers came from India 165 years ago. Muslims, Christians, and Hindus came from North India, Lucknow, Bihar, Calcutta, to work as indentured laborers on the sugarcane plantations governed by the British at that time. And to brave the journey, the Muslims, Christians, and Hindus, they united and bonded to brave the obstacles and hardships of the journey of sickness and disease and food, etc. So you will find in Trinidad, in every village, there's a mosque, temple, and a church existing side by side with no conflict, no war, no criticism. Now, in addition to that, there's a Sai Baba Center supporting the universality in this twin island. Bhagwan once said about Trinidad, there is a little island in the Caribbean that is the jewel of my eye. It's Trinidad. And once when Charles Penn wanted to come to Trinidad and Tobago, he prayed to Swami for guidance, and Baba revealed, Tobago means to Baba go. So 52 centers in every single village. You can go to a Sai Baba satsang every single day of the week. We have 5 radio stations that broadcast Baba's message 1 hour per week per station. 2 television programs on national television on Thursday and Sunday that reflect the mission and the work of Satya Sai Baba. Every second Sunday, we build a house for a needy family in 4 to 6 hours. I've brought 1 or 2 pictures we can look at. And so in Trinidad and Tobago, whether you like it or not, Sai Baba is always in your face. Everybody knows who Satya Sai Baba is in Trinidad and Tobago. And today we are blessed because the present government has ministers who are believers in Swami. And so now we are striving to get the Education and Human Values program in every school in the country. So my dear brothers and sisters, this is a little of what Trinidad and Tobago is. And I want to extend a loving invitation to all of you all to come to Trinidad. You all can charter a plane. And I'm sure that you're going to be really, really divinely surprised as what you will see. You know, there was a devotee who came recently, one of Swami's students, Hari Haran, spent 1 week in Trinidad in the month of July. And while transporting him from the airport to our home, he said, Brother Faiz, you've cheated me. I said, how come? He said, I thought I was coming to some foreign land and all I see is Inde, Inde, Inde. He says, every inch of Trinidad is only breathing and chanting Sai. My dear brothers and sisters, as I close, I want to leave a little message with all of us. A message that Bhagwan has given many, many years ago that speaks about what he has done in the past, what is currently happening, and what is yet to take place. We as Sai believers, in fact, when you say the word believer in Islam, it means a believer, a Muslim, is one who completely surrenders himself to the will of Allah. And so anyone who does that can consider themselves a Muslim. These are the words of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. It contains very pertinent, potent inner meaning for all of us. It's important that we listen and, more importantly, translate it into practice. Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba says, your mission has begun. These are my words to you, my devotees. Each of you have a unique and valuable part to play in this lifetime. Only those whom I have called can serve me. My mission has now reached that point in time when each of you now has work to do. This planet Earth has a purpose in the galaxy in which it is held. That purpose is now unfolding itself before our very eyes. Allow yourselves to impart the purity of heart within to all living creatures and human beings, but do not reach for the fruits of your work. This part of my mission is performed in absolute silence. Be always aware that the moment you allow your ego to descend upon you, my work ceases. When you have overcome your negative unmindfulness, you will again become my source. The multiplication of my love will be felt throughout the world. I have prepared you for this work over many incarnations. My work is ceaseless, and so your work too is without end. Know that I am within you and without you. There is no difference. Rid yourselves of petty matters forevermore. My darshan will pour forth from me to and through you. You may be unaware of this constant action. Be ever pure in heart and soul, and mankind in your lifetime will benefit from your unique qualities. The time is fast approaching when all of humanity will live together as one in harmony. That time will be here sooner than one expects. Before it arrives, be prepared to do whatever is necessary to reveal to every single living thing the true purpose of existence. It is not something that anyone alive can imagine. It is not something that anyone can try to aspire to. I can only tell you that its beauty is magnificent beyond all dreams. And as each of you perform your silent work, I will embrace you to my heart. And henceforth your souls shall be lifted up. Your faces shall reveal my presence within. This I say to you, my devotees, from the Lord's mountaintop, where all the universes become one. Be about my work, my beloved Bhaktas. Your breath will carry the scent of the blossoms of heaven. Your example will be that of angels. Your joy will be my joy. The words of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. Beloved devotees, I sing this one song and bring this message to an end. Kindly join me. It's an English song that reflects human values as embodied by the Avatar. Love, peace, righteousness, and truth.
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 Holy Spirit dwelling in us all. Father in heaven, show us the way. Father in heaven,
Father in heaven,
give us your grace.
give us
Love in every heart.
love in every heart,
Peace in every mind.
peace in every heart,
Love in every heart.
love in every heart,
Peace in every mind.
peace in every mind.
God here and now, Shri Satya Sai Baba. God here and now. God here and now, Shri Satya Sai Baba. Love, peace, righteousness, and truth.
Peace, righteousness, and truth.
Holy Spirit dwelling in us all.
Holy Spirit dwelling in us all.
Father in heaven, show us the way. Father in heaven,
Father in heaven,
give us your grace. Love in every heart.
love in every heart,
Peace in every mind.
peace in every mind,
Love in every heart.
love in every heart,
Peace in every mind.
peace in every mind.
God here and now, Shri Satya Sai Baba. God here and now, Shri Satya Sai Baba. Love, peace, righteousness, and truth. May Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba bless and guide each and every one of us. And as we continue to aspire in the spiritual path, let our fervent and heartfelt prayer be that we will ceaselessly strive to be wonderful examples of His divine love. I know that we have gone a little bit over time, but can I just take 2 to 3 minutes to show the slides? A few years ago, when there was the massive earthquake in Haiti where over 2,500 people died, with Bhagwan's grace and instructions, Dr. Michael Goldstein requested the Sai organization in Trinidad to build 4 houses, do a medical camp, and distribute foodstuffs. So this was the group that left, mostly young adults. This was some of the destruction in Haiti, where buildings toppled, government buildings were affected. And these were where people lived after the destruction. Sometimes in one of those tents, a family of 6 or 7 lived without water, food, or toilet conditions. And so it was very, very difficult. With a very hard wind, it can actually blow the tents up into the air. So these were shots of where the people lived. It was so sad. Then this was a church that was lent to the Sai Baba organization to conduct its medical camp and to feed the children. This is the priest. His heart was so full of love, and when he heard this was service being done, he willingly opened the doors of the church for Sai devotees. This particular baby, when it took birth, it was left in a dustbin to die. And one particular lady found the baby and took care of it. She brought the baby to the medical camp to be tested. These were children who never had a meal for many a day. And every day we would cook meals and feed the children. These were medical camps being done by the doctors. And I believe we had volunteers from Canada, US, and the West Indies. This was the only Sai Baba center in Haiti, and amidst all the destruction, the Sai Baba center remained intact. And we used to sleep right on the ground here every day, singing bhajans. Because the schools were destroyed, this is a makeshift school that was created, and here you see the teacher carrying on her classes. This was the day we had 2,500 food boxes to deliver to needy people, and we began by invoking the blessings of Bhagwan. And in a very orderly fashion, it was given out. Here they were given the box of groceries and an envelope that contained teachings and a picture of Swami. This was another village on top of a hill that we had gone to distribute the foodstuffs. And then the rains came and Swami blessed us all. And then at the end of it, we had a wonderful Sai satsang before returning to our respective countries. Now, in Haiti, we built 4 houses in 5 days. And this was primarily done by the young adults. They had developed specific talent and expertise on different aspects of the house building. And these are houses that can withstand hurricane winds of 125 miles per hour, built out of something called concrete timber and bolted onto a concrete foundation. So in the next few slides, you will see the young adults busy doing the labor of love for Sai. Now, this is a house, remember in the message we spoke about where we build a house for needy families every second Sunday. This is a family of 6 who used to live in this particular house, very dilapidated and broken down. So what we do, if you notice, there's a concrete foundation. We cast that the week before and let it cure. And then the next week, about 30 to 40 volunteers, mainly young adults with specialist skills, then put up a structure, either a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom structure with toilet and bath, living room, sleeping accommodation, water and electricity is provided where there is a need. Here, you see different people working on the windows, on the sides, and in the other slides, you will see people working on the roof. And in 4 to 6 hours, we arrive sometimes at 7 in the morning, and by 9:30, the house is completed. Here, the completed house, and it's fully furnished. You notice that there's burglar proofing, there are drapes, and we have a nice Sai Baba satsang to bless the house. We cook meals and provide groceries for the families. And in almost every single case, what we do is when we hand over the keys, they are so filled with love, the recipients, that they cry and say that no other organization has ever done this for them. This particular shot is once a year, the young adults in Trinidad, we take the visually impaired on an outing to one of the beaches. We cook food, we provide, the young adults are like their hands and feet, and then we take them for 1 hour into the water with lifeguards, and they have a really, really good time bathing and enjoying themselves. So this is a young adult strictly program. Once a year, this is done. I'd just like to show you with the other slides. With Bhagwan's grace and blessings, he blessed that 2 Sai Nilayams be built in Trinidad and Tobago. This is the first one that was inaugurated on the 23rd of November 1996. It can hold approximately 3,000 devotees. This is part of it, where we have the Love All, Serve All sign. And the land was donated by Sai devotees, and everyone contributed to putting up this wonderful Sai structure, which Bhagwan blessed. And this is the front. And this is the archway leading into the Sai Nilayam. This is the altar and the hall. And Swami's chair is at the right. And it can hold approximately 3,000 devotees, now owned by the Sai organization. So this one is in the very middle of the country. That's the kitchen area. And now this is another one in the south part of the country called the Ishwaramma Sai Center. Again, these photos were signed by Bhagwan. And while going through the photos, Swami looked at the garden and was most impressed and happy and said, "Oh, what a beautiful garden it has." So these are some shots with the Ishwaramma Sai Center in the southern part of the country. This is the garden area. And this can hold, this is the entire, the altar and the hall. It can hold about 1,500 devotees. This is the back that has the Krishna chariot, similar to what is in the mandir in Prashanti Nilayam. This is the beginning, the entrance. And with Swami's grace, this is the entire shot of the hall. A stupa was built. The same person who built the stupa in Prashanti Nilayam, he came with a team of members and spent 3 months in Trinidad and constructed this stupa, similar to the one in Prashanti Nilayam. And Sri Vednarayan, when it was being inaugurated with a group of Sai students, we had a beautiful music program and Vedic chanting to commemorate its opening. This is the kitchen area. And this is the main entrance leading up to the mandir. And this is the altar. So devotees, I thank Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba and the organizers of this event for the opportunity to come and share and receive the love of Mother Sai. Jai Sai Ram.